USN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Welcome. You're listening to the Financial Survival Network. It's Kerry, Lutz, and economic statistics. They say that, there's lies, damn lies, and then there's statistics, and we had a couple of great ones come out recently. The first quarter GDP was revised downward to minus 0.7% last week. Then we had a stellar jobs report. The economy purportedly added around 250,000 jobs last month, which just was wonderful for the stock market. Well, not really, but Allyn Root is with us, and the master deconstructor of government propaganda. Wayne, how are you?
I love that introduction, the master deconstructor of government propaganda. That's my new title. I like it. You've knighted me. That's an interesting title. I'll take it anytime.
Well, I mean, let's face it. The administration never misses an opportunity to toot or tout its wonderful accomplishments. But if you look at the real measure, which is the workforce labor participation rate, it's been doing nothing but going down the entire tenure of the Obama administration to record lows, 30-year lows. And that's just one indication of what's happening, as you term it in your latest book, The Murder of the Middle Class.
Yeah, I've got hundreds of examples how bad the economy is in The Murder of the Middle Class, but that book has been out for about a year. I'd like to talk about some things that are much more recent. So you mentioned the revision of GDP in the first quarter down to negative 0.07%. What I came out with in an article last week on that topic is that in the history of America, no president has ever had 4 negative first quarters out of his first 7. You know, he's been in office 7 first quarters. Next year will be his 8th first quarter of GDP. 4 of the 7 negative. No one's ever done that. If you average all 7 quarters, Q1s of Obama, meaning first quarter of Barack Obama's presidency, he averages out to a slight negative. In the history of America, no president, in the history of economic measurement at least, since the day they started measuring stuff like GDP, no president has ever measured out to a combined negative average for the first quarter. So how can anyone argue that this isn't the worst president in American history, that this isn't a president who is a complete loser when it comes to economics, and either he's incompetent and he doesn't know what he's doing and he's ignorant, he's an ignoramus, or he knows exactly what he's doing, he's taking down capitalism and the American economy. However, since I wrote that, 2 more wonderful pieces of economic measurement came to my attention. Number one is there's an economist out there much smarter than me, much better with math than me. You know, I'm really an entertainer, Kerry. I'm a guy who takes boring stats from policy wonks and mathematicians and economists and makes them kind of interesting and high energy and then goes in the media and talks about them. But I'm not the guy who does the measurement. That's not what I do. I'm not a mathematician or a math whiz. So a great economist put together a chart using a little fancy economics, stuff that I'm not familiar with, GDP combined with population growth, combined with each of the presidencies in America, and sprinkle a little stardust, and come up with a number that's kind of a chart that you can compare each president with. In the history of America, only 2 presidents ever came up negative, not for the first quarter, for every quarter of their presidency. So Obama, when you use this chart and use these specific statistics, GDP and population growth, Obama is negative for his entire first 7 years, every quarter. And the only other president to ever be negative is Herbert Hoover in the Great Depression. That's how bad things are, and the media doesn't mention it. The media doesn't care. The media never gives you that metric. The media never has a headline about it. Amazing. Now, let's talk about the jobs report that just came out the other day. That was so fantastic and wonderful and lovey-dovey and pinch me, life's good. We're in recovery, up 200, and I think it was 60,000 jobs. So what did we find? In past appearances on your show, I've always mentioned that whenever they say there's 200,000 plus jobs, they're all part-time jobs. Well, this time was even worse, much worse, because of the 260,000 new jobs, I didn't see one headline in the country that reported all 260,000 went to foreigners, in that category, illegals. Now, the Labor Department, this is their statistic, not Wayne Root, not a conservative, not an independent economist. The Labor Department broke it down, and there were more jobs for foreigners and no jobs for Americans. Native-born Americans might have been as low as zero or negative. Again, the chart is within a certain number to number, so it might be anywhere from negative to dead even for Native Americans, meaning those of us born here, Americans, and for those who are born out of the country, they make no division between legal foreigners and illegals, and maybe all illegals we're talking about. They achieved over 260,000 increase in jobs last month. So what that means is the whole 260 belongs to illegal immigrants, folks, not just part-time jobs, not just crappy jobs, not just low-wage jobs, but every single increase in jobs from the last month that was reported so wonderful for the month of May, they were all illegal immigrant jobs. Wow.
Well, that's quite a record to be proud of, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is.
I mean,
so there's no way to make an argument when you hear numbers like that, the GDP, the jobs, that Barack Obama is a good president. Barack Obama is doing a great job. But if you take the other side of the coin and you ignore who the jobs are going to, you ignore whether they're part-time or full-time. You ignore they're all low wage. You ignore that they're the lowest paying jobs, flipping burgers and cleaning toilets. You ignore all of that, and you ignore GDP is negative. The media simply makes a case that everything's great because here are some jobs, and here's one single economic report that's good, and the stock market's up. So it's really this great mass deception, very scary, and without any question, very misleading.
Yeah, well, hey, you don't think the administration would ever try to mislead the American public, do you, Wayne?
No, because of course, if you look at, if you like your insurance, you can keep it. If you like your job, your doctor, you can keep them. If you like the price of your insurance, it won't be going up. We'll be adding 30 to 40 million people for free to the healthcare rolls, but your price will never go up. And by the way, since Obamacare started, everything's great and dandy, ignoring the fact that Hawaii has gone broke, Vermont has gone broke, all the other Obamacare exchanges are on the verge of bankruptcy and they're all bleeding money. The claim that prices have not gone up because they're averaging in, I think the scam is they average in people who get it free or who get it low cost with subsidies from the government, with the average middle class person whose policy or premium has doubled or tripled. When you add it together, it might add up to even or close to even, and you go, wow, on average, healthcare hasn't gone up that much. Really? How come mine went from $500 to $1,500 and nothing is included? Nothing. It used to be my policy was $500 a month for my family, health insurance, $500 a month, including eye care, dental care, and all forms of drugs. Now it's no eye care included, no dental care included. The copay dramatically increased. As a matter of fact, it went from 25 to 75 if you're seeing a specialist. And based on the definition of specialist, everyone in the whole world except your primary care physician is now considered a specialist. So every copay visit is $75 instead of $25. My wife headed to an emergency room for bronchitis. She just didn't feel well. She was a little worried it could turn into pneumonia. So for the first time ever, she went to an emergency room, and the copay was $500. Used to be $100 when my policy was $500 a month. Now my policy is $1,500 a month, and the copay is $500 for an emergency room visit. When you add all of this together, I'm not really paying $1,500, Kerry. I'm really averaging out maybe $2,000, $2,200, $2,300 a month. Massive, and the government doesn't know what I make. This isn't based on my income. I could make $100 million a year, or I could make $30,000. Either way, they'd be asking me for the same $2,300 a month to pay your health care bills. Well, guess what? No middle-class person could afford this, so now they're all on welfare, otherwise known as Obamacare. They have no choice but to accept welfare from the government and subsidies. Government checks are allowing them to keep their health care, and that's what Barack Obama wanted from day one. So nothing but lies in this administration. They believe in Saul Alinsky, the ends justify the means.
Well, all I know is it's a good thing that the price of healthcare isn't going up really high. Because could you imagine what you'd be paying if it was really going up?
Yeah,
You'd
it's
really
some
be
scary,
sold.
scary stuff, and that doesn't even include the fact that healthcare is affecting the entire economy. Why are there no full-time jobs? Because healthcare demands you only hire part-time employees. That's the reason. A buddy of mine went to this grocery store. He knows all the checkout girls for many years, and they're all Hispanic, and they're all low income, and they're all single moms, and they're all scared. They're like, I'm really scared because I've just been downgraded to part-time job. Used to be full-time, 40 hours a week, and they won't give me 40 hours a week anymore because they don't want to pay my health care. So, when you hear this stuff going on across America, you know why there are so many jobs being created, but they're all part-time jobs because nothing's being created in this economy because of Obamacare that's any good. It's all bad jobs with low wages that don't even take care of a family without you getting food stamps. So again and again and again, misleading statistics, what it's coming down to is Obama is right about one thing. He always said there are two Americas. He's the one creating the two Americas, the super rich and everybody else struggling to survive.
It's really, really disheartening, isn't it?
Well, it is, and what I think what's really disheartening, to be honest with you, is that the Republican Party is the wrong opponent. They don't know how to fight. They don't know how to win. I don't think they want to win. Democrats may be evil and try to wipe out the middle class. Republicans do not have that on their mind. I've never met a Republican who says, gee, let me wipe out small business and the middle class. Let me bury them. Let me destroy them. But it doesn't matter in life. All that matters is what's the end result. And the end result is that Republicans are either cowards or they're bought off by big corporations and lobbyists, or maybe they're being blackmailed in Washington, D.C. We've discussed this on your show. For whatever variety of reasons, Republicans give in to everything Obama wants and don't fight back. And in some cases, there's no Obama even in their way, and they do everything he wants, meaning on a local level, state level, in Nevada where I live. There's no Obama on the state level. They could have passed anything they wanted. We have a Republican governor, 5 Republican constitutional office holders out of 5. We have a Republican state assembly and a Republican state senate. We control everything in the entire state for the first time since the 1920s. And what was the first thing he turned around and did after being reelected with 70% of the vote and a referendum on the ballot asking for higher taxes on corporations, and it was defeated 3-1. And the first thing he did was literally put forth a $1.5 billion tax increase on the same corporations that looked exactly like the ballot measure that lost 3-1. And the Republican governor and the Republican Senate and the Republican Assembly passed it last Sunday and added $1.5 billion in taxes for the kids to help and save education, even though it's all going to the teachers' unions and has nothing to do with the kids.
Yeah.
That's what just happened in Nevada. And, you have no idea how angry Republicans are. I mean, why would you win a landslide so that you'd raise my taxes? Who needs you to raise my taxes? I could have voted Democrat to raise taxes, or I could have voted Republican, and we could have lost, and the same thing would have happened. So what am I voting for you for? So these people, I don't know, I just think they're completely bought and paid for. You meet Democrats, they really are evil. Their goal in life is income redistribution and socialism and all the nasty, terrible things guys like you and I, capitalists, hate, Kerry, hate.
Yeah.
But when you meet Republicans, none of them talk about things like that. They just want to help business, but they only want to help their contributors who are big business, and big business wants more taxes and regulations on the rest of us so that they have no competition. They put us out of business. And so that's what Republicans do. They're against us too, but for completely different reasons and maybe more subtle, and maybe they don't realize what they're doing. But what's the difference if the outcome is the same?
I couldn't agree with you more. And you see this over and over again, Wayne, all over the place. And so then when you're looking for a choice and you wind up, voting for the for the Democrats, and then they just give you exactly what you're getting anyway, what's the difference between the two parties? You have to wonder.
Yeah, well, there has been none, and that's why America's on this horrible decline. And it's just, can you imagine if the bumper sticker is Democrats support tax and spend, we support a little bit less tax and spend? I mean, is that a bumper sticker? Is that getting anyone elected? Is that really what you believe in? You think that's a smart move, that we support taxes and spending too, we support bigger government too? Just maybe a little bit less at times. At other times, like in Nevada, I don't think no Democrat could have ever passed a larger tax increase. So it's not even a little bit less tax and spend. It's the same tax and spend. So it's just amazing. And as I said recently in a letter to the editor of the Vegas newspaper, I said, here's the deal, guys. It's okay if a Democrat increases taxes. It's a fair argument. I don't agree with it. I'll fight it to the death, but everyone has a right to believe in it. It's not a crime to raise taxes or to increase spending. You can do it if you're a Democrat, but if you're a Republican who campaigns on, I believe in lower taxes, smaller government, and less spending, and I promise to uphold that, and the minute you're elected, you go ahead and raise it the same way a Democrat would have, that's a crime. That's fraud. That's misrepresentation. That's purposeful deception of the voters, and that's exactly what happened in Nevada. If you were going to do that, why didn't you just say in your campaign literature and in your speeches and on your ads, hi, I'm the governor of Nevada, Brian Sandoval. I want to be reelected. I'm a Republican, and I promise to give you the biggest tax increase in the history of Nevada if I'm reelected. What do you think would happen? Why did he do that? Why does everyone lie and then do it? And it's just amazing to me why no one is ever arrested for fraud, because that's about as bad a fraud as I can think of.
Yeah, well, political free speech and fraud, there's a fine line between the two, isn't there? Isn't there, Wayne?
Well, I guess. I mean, that's the argument they'll all make. I was on the phone the other day with a class action lawyer friend of mine, and he, we're buddies. I don't really like what class action lawyers do, obviously, but we are buddies. I've known him since college, and he said, do me a favor. I have a friend of mine who's a big fan of yours, and he's the biggest class action lawyer in all of the West Coast of the United States, based in California, of course. What a surprise. And he'd love to talk to you. Could I, three-way us into a phone call, and you just say hi to him? So I'm on the phone with him, and I said, it's so funny. Life is funny, because at this very moment, I was just thinking about the fact that I'd like to be the lead plaintiff in a class action $1 trillion lawsuit. Has there ever been a $1 trillion lawsuit? I don't think so. I'd like to be the first one to sue the government and Barack Obama over Obamacare and the lies and the fraud and the trillions of dollars eventually, cumulatively, it will cost the American consumer and all the people paying for health insurance. Could be in the trillions of dollars over time, but in the meantime, hundreds of billions in losses because of the lies told by Obama. How is that not a great class action lawsuit? And what did the lawyer say? He said basically what you said. There's a fine line between what a businessman does and a politician does. A businessman, we'd sue tomorrow, we'd win. But a politician basically gets off the hook because we know they all lie and it's no big deal. He said he's a big Democrat, I'm sure, and he said immediately, George Bush lied about the Iraq War, same thing. Can't sue him for that. So there's your problem right there. That's it. They've made themselves immune from lawsuit and not liable and responsible for their tragic lies, where the rest of us immediately go to prison if we tell a lie. Every small businessman, every private sector CEO is on the line every time you sign your name to anything. If you sign something and what's in it is, if a word is wrong, you could go to prison or be fined thousands of dollars. Or what about that excuse for the IRS? How about if I told the IRS, listen, I know I made $1 million last year. I know I told you I made $100,000. I only paid $20,000 in taxes, but I'm immune, buddy. Sorry, I can lie all I want. How come we can't say that, but they can?
Yeah. Well, look what they did to you. And what's happening with your case with them?
Yeah, Kerry's talking about my IRS situation where they came after me with everything the government had for 3 years, and I beat them every time. And then we demanded through Judicial Watch, the #1 government watchdog, we demanded all of my IRS files because it obviously smelled like, looked like, tasted like government intimidation at the hands of Barack Obama, which is a crime, which got Richard Nixon thrown out of office, and much worse, except Nixon never did such a widespread attack on every conservative critic and every major donor in this country that Obama did. I've put it all together, and all the appearances I made in the media and all the speeches I've given. Every time I mention the fact that the IRS attacked me and I believe it was a crime and I believe it was widespread, I immediately get 50 people either coming up to me after the speech or emailing me after the radio appearance or TV appearance, 50 or more every time saying, "Hi, Mr. Root, my name is XYZ, and I'm just a small businessman, never did anything wrong in my life, never been in trouble with the IRS in my life." And then I wrote one check to Mitt Romney, IRS audit. First time. Or I went to one Tea Party event and signed my name to a petition and IRS audit 3 weeks later. Or, I wrote one check to a conservative cause that's pro-Israel or pro-capitalism, and suddenly IRS attack. So, when you start to hear hundreds of people tell the same story, do you think maybe this had nothing to do with Allyn Root? It was a widespread criminal conspiracy between the IRS, Obama, and the Democratic Party to try and steal the 2012 election and try and destroy the energy energy and enthusiasm and intensity of the Tea Party movement and conservatives, and to try and make us pay, to bankrupt us, to destroy us, and silence free speech. And it happened. I'm telling you. And the only update I can give you on my case is, we got my records. On your show, I believe I detailed what was in the records. It's just all incriminating against the IRS and the Democratic Party and a specific U.S. senator. We got the goods on them. And number one, the mass media doesn't care. Can you imagine? Lots of conservative media interviews, but the mass media doesn't care. Not one interview with CBS or NBC or even Fox itself. None. So you just go, what? Is this possible? I'm charging that the President of the United States committed a crime and needs to be impeached, and no one wants to cover it. So nothing in the mass media, but I did attract the attention of the Inspector General of Tax Administration of the United States of America, of the Treasury Department. And he's completely independent and an investigator who goes after the IRS for wrongdoing and malfeasance. And met with the Inspector General's Office of the United States and presented all my materials. They interviewed Judicial Watch. They were referred to me by the United States Senate panel investigating the IRS scandal. They told me they are good people and they will take care of this, and if the facts are proven, they will absolutely go after whoever's involved, whether it's the IRS or the President of the United States. The Inspector General is that powerful. Wow. And that's what they tell me. And I've offered to testify in front of the U.S. Senate, and they said, great, we want you to testify, but we want the Inspector General to verify everything you've said. Then you can testify with complete credibility, and no one can attack anything you said because it'll all be backed up by the Inspector General. So they referred me to him, and I did my interview, and they got all my tax files, and they're investigating as we speak.
Well, let's hope they do it quickly. I hate to see an administration change before it all happens.
Well, that's how it's done, right? That's exactly what they're trying to do. Stall.
Run the clock
until you run the clock out. That's the game plan this administration is doing with Benghazi, the IRS scandal, Fast and Furious, the VA scandal. Just sweep everything under the rug and hope the clock runs out, and then that's the end of it. Nobody can come after you, I guess. So it's really the way they do business. And, people laugh at this idea that he's the most open, transparent president in history. You almost have to break down laughing on the ground with your belly shaking. It's so funny, what criminals these people are and how they get away with this stuff. But it's really some vicious, terrible people who learn their politics on the streets of Chicago, thug politics, I call it. And there's nothing racist about that comment because most of the thugs in Chicago politics are white. So don't let anyone think what I just said has racist undertones. All it is Harry Reid is a white Mormon, and he's the same thug as Obama, and Nancy Pelosi is an Italian American, and she's the same thug as Obama. None of it has to do with your race, your religion, your sex. It has to do with how you act and what respect you have for the American people and what respect you have for the office of the presidency. And the term thug refers to a president who is a tyrant, who has no respect for anyone, an intimidator, basically an organized crime member who's using his power to try and destroy his opponents. And that's what's happening every day under Barack Obama.
No question. Hey, speaking of scandals and everything else, the Clinton crime family scandal factory, it's just amazing. Every day there's a new scandal here, Wayne.
Yeah, I'm on the record. I'm on the record with you on multiple occasions. I'll do it again. Hillary Clinton will never be the nominee of the Democratic Party. Yeah. They know it. I'm telling you, they all know it. She's dead. And that's why Bernie Sanders is in. That's why Martin O'Malley's in. That's why, who's the other one? I can't even remember his name. He's such a nobody. But the former governor of Rhode Island, he used to be a Republican, switched to Democrat.
Chafee, yeah.
Chafee's in. There's more expected to get in. I just read that they're begging Michael Bloomberg to get in, even though he's the Republican mayor of New York, but he was a very liberal Republican. So they want him to join the Democratic primary with $1 billion or more. And so why are they rushing to get all these people in, and why aren't people thinking about getting in? I even heard Al Gore and John Kerry are possibilities to get in.
That's what I heard, too. I can't even believe this.
Well, because Hillary's, she's the Hindenburg. She's a dying balloon, a scandal about to implode. Everybody knows it.
Oh, it's shocking, though. And the Clinton cash book, that guy, Schweitzer's beyond reproach. And then Stephanopoulos goes after him with both barrels. Oh, by the way, I forgot I donated $75,000 to the Clinton crony fraudulent foundation. Just forgot about it. And now he's toast. He was obviously set up for that masterfully. They knew going in there that he had obviously contributed money to the foundation and just let him hang himself. And now he's toast.
Yeah, well, it's terrible criminal activity. To me, it's traitorous behavior. It's bribery at its worst. Billions handed over by foreign governments collectively to the Clinton Foundation, while not to an ex-president, but to a future president as the wife of the ex-president, who was already serving as a Secretary of State while you gave the money, while contracts were being handed over to those same companies that wrote the checks. That's scandal. That's bribery. That is criminal, and that is traitorous behavior that could get you hung for treason. But separate from that, for Democrats listening out there, the hypocrisy of taking money from countries that kill gays and drop them off buildings, taking money from countries that abuse women and treat them as second-class citizens, taking money from countries who assign lashings with a whip to women for the crime of being gang raped, kill women and stone them for the crime of looking at another man through the little peephole in their outfit. These are scary things, and that she would take money from them is amazing, and it's so beyond levels of hypocrisy that any Democrat who accepts it, any feminist and any gay rights Democrat who accepts that she's pro-feminist and pro-gay rights while she's taking money from the murderers and abusers of women and gays, is just living in a different world than I am.
Yeah, alternative universe, and it just shows that there's nothing that they won't do.
Nothing they won't do, nothing they think they can't get away with. But I don't think they're getting away with this one. I do believe, you look at the polls, she is fallen like a balloon you just pop with a needle. And she's got a lot of problems, and nobody believes she's credible, and no one believes she's honest. And her likability is headed for the bottom, and she's in major trouble. And this is just the very beginning. No one's even focused yet on what she's done. Wait till the ads start running, hundreds of millions of dollars worth of super PAC ads from the Koch brothers and from Karl Rove, which will be just destroying her based on what she has done, including 32,000 deleted emails, just like Nixon. So I think she's a goner, and I think a lot of Democrats are now, at least underneath, subconsciously or quietly whispering to each other, they know she's gone. No one will ever say that in public. You're not going to hear that from a Democrat, but I believe she's toast. And I think probably Martin O'Malley's going to probably wind up becoming the favorite for the nomination eventually. They have something on their side we can never have on the right. They have the media. Yeah. And so a total nobody in the GOP, right, doesn't go anywhere. Bobby Jindal. Bobby Jindal's a brilliant guy, but he's gone nowhere, and my guess is he probably will go nowhere as far as the presidential nomination. Martin O'Malley has the name recognition of a Bobby Jindal, and they were both governors, right? And yet Martin O'Malley's a nobody, but as soon as the machinery of the mainstream media turns him into a god and a hero, and a man who cares about the people and handsome, they love to show him in photos bare-chested, coming out of pools and ocean, swimming and surfing, and he's got a good build. He works out, obviously. They're going to make him the women's hero and the handsome hunk like the Kennedys, and pretty soon a guy who's complete unknown, unlike Bobby Jindal, the media will turn him into a complete known, and he'll be a formidable candidate. You watch. That's what's going to happen, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, it's just incredible that they pinned all their hopes on Hillary, and she's imploding. And aside from everything else, she's a rotten candidate. Well, she's a rotten person. As I said on my Facebook post, I got about 150,000 Facebook fans, and I said to him Facebook and Twitter fans, and I said to him the other day, Hillary Clinton has all the scandals and all the negativity of Bill Clinton, but she comes with none of the charisma, none of the personality. She's rotten to the core. She's just a nasty, nasty woman. So when you add that together, my God, she's got nothing. Yeah. Well,
except money, lots of money. That she's got lots of money and power behind her, but I don't think it'll work this time. I think she's gone.
Yeah, well, they were dead broke when they left the White House, Wayne.
Yeah, she was scared of being broke. She knew she had $20 million worth of book advances coming in for her and Bill. But, she's a liar. Like I said, rotten to the core. Everything she says is a lie. But why is that different? That's the same as the administration we've got now. Everything they say is a lie. Everything's immersed in scandal, and the media doesn't care. It's an amazing thing.
Yeah.
But of course, what they do care about is the fact that Rubio and his wife get speeding tickets.
Well, you've been to Florida. I mean, any place. You got these wide open highways, and you got large distances, ridiculous
No, but why does anyone care? That's my point. Who cares if you get speeding tickets? Gosh, when I grew up, I was an aide. I think I was the youngest aide in the New York State Assembly. I was 19 years old, and maybe 18 years old, in my first year in college, and I was named an aide to a state assemblyman, and I got to be around a lot of state assembly members, and boy, they were the fastest drivers I'd ever seen, because they had to drive from Westchester County, where I was outside New York City, to Albany, and they would drive 90, 100 miles an hour with speed detectors in their cars, and these were the guys who were the state assembly and state senate members who were making the laws. That's one law that, I just kind of wink and nod. Everybody speeds, and I've never heard of that brought up as an issue in a campaign before. It's kind of amazing to me. Now, if you had an accident, you kill somebody, that's an issue. But if you just happen to go above the speed limit and get pulled over once in a while, I don't know that most American men who like Mustangs and Porsches and other kinds of fast cars are going to worry too much about a guy and his wife, who isn't even the candidate, who got caught speeding a few times. That's just a perfect example of the mainstream media and the New York Times trying to hurt a guy where I guess they can't dig up anything else. They got nothing on him, so they bring up something as absurd as that. Well, Hillary Clinton is covering up murder at Benghazi.
Yeah, amazing. Anyway, Wayne, just tell us your site.
Sure. The book is The Murder of the Middle Class, and the new one comes out August 10th. You can get it right now, pre-sale at Amazon, as a matter of fact. It's called The Power of Relentless. Just got endorsed by Donald Trump and Steve Forbes, and I'm waiting on Steve Wynn any day now to send me a beautiful endorsement quote. So some of the biggest names in American business have endorsed my book, and it's called The Power of Relentless. It's not about politics. It's not about Barack Obama. It's not controversial. It's just a book about the most important trait in the world, how to be the most relentless person in the world and not accept the word no and never accept defeat and keep on fighting to get what you want. I don't care if it's a relationship or it's business or it's a job. I'll show you how to do it in The Power of Relentless, and that's available right now, pre-sale at Amazon. My website is root4america.com.
All right, and I will probably see you in Vegas shortly at Freedom Fest coming up July 8th through 11th. I make it a point to be there, and thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.